Now we turn to our In Spotlight section, and I'm delighted to say that this week we are joined by multiple Paralympian Tyler Merren, who has developed the ReVision fitness app. Tyler, how are you?
Fantastic, Ed. Thanks for having me join with you guys today.
No, thank you for sparing us the time. Can you tell us a little bit about you before we get into the app?
Sure can. Yeah. Uh, like Ed said, my name is Tyler Merren. Born in the USA, born in Michigan. Grew up on a farm, just kind of rural livings, and um, my parents, as I was growing up, my parents noticed something a little bit different about me from my siblings. Some pretty simple stuff to start with that kind of progressively got worse. When I would look at people, my eyes would shift to the side a little bit. At nighttime, I had a really hard time seeing when the lights would dim. All of my vision would go. I couldn't catch a ball very easily. And so, my parents kind of took me in, got me checked out. And it turns out that I had an eye condition that was slowly decreasing my vision. So I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa, and towards the age of 14, 15 years old, started getting some services, learning how to use a cane, learning Braille, all of those things. And that's about the time I was introduced to adaptive sports. I grew up in a family of athletes. My dad played multiple sports. My sister played all seasons of sports, and just so it kind of ran in the family. And I was introduced to goalball and just took to it really quickly. And um, fast forward through the years, I joined the men's USA goalball team and competed in 4 different Paralympic games, starting with Athens in 2004. Went to Beijing in 2008, Rio in 2016, and just recently competed in Tokyo in 2020. And so kept myself really busy. I became a personal trainer. That was what I went to college for. I got my bachelor's degree in exercise science and became a personal trainer. I worked in the fitness industry for a long time as a master personal trainer at 24 Hour Fitness. Worked as an assistant fitness manager, and that's right about the time, about 4 or 5 years into my personal training career, where I really started to see some strong evidence that there needed to be a little bit more resource available for people who are blind and visually impaired to learn fitness, which is kind of where the ReVision fitness program came about.
I'm interested in what you said about your Paralympics because I think what you're basically saying is you didn't want to come visit the old country and see Fee and me. What happened in London 2012?
You had to bring that up, didn't you? No, we competed, and the Paralympics is such a fantastic event for those who don't know much about it. It's considered to be parallel to the Olympics. So you have the Olympics for able-bodied athletes, the Paralympics for a physically disabled athlete, and it's extremely, extremely competitive. And so, the teams have to qualify. Athletes have to qualify to compete in their event, and unfortunately, we missed the qualification for London by one spot at every turn. So, had 3 different opportunities to qualify and missed it in each by one spot. Very, very, very disappointing. Our ladies were there competing, but we unfortunately couldn't make it out. Love it in London though. I've hit a couple of tournaments in that area. So London and Sheffield, the 2 places that I've been.
Oh, that's good. I went to school in Sheffield and I live in London. So, yeah, that's good. So, revision fitness, you just touched on it then. How did that start to come about? You saw that there was the gap in the market, if I'm not going to get too corporate, but what made you pursue that?
Yeah, it was kind of a building thing, right? Like I knew for quite a while that this was something that was really needed. So my wife, who is blind as well, we've been married almost 20 years now. She's very, very well connected, on Facebook and other social media platforms. And as I'm going through my career as a personal trainer, I come home from work and say, hey, so and so is on this group and they're asking about how to do fitness, and you should get on there and talk to them about what they need to do to exercise better. And my typical answer was, I just put in a 10-hour day at the gym. I don't feel like teaching anybody anything right now. Right. So I, uh, I knew that this need was out there for a while. But there was one particular incident. I working at the fitness center, and my clientele. I worked with hundreds of people over the years. The majority of them just average sided gym going athletes, but there were about three or four people who attended the fitness center where I worked who were visually impaired. So I was at the front desk one day. I was waiting for one of my clients to come in, and I heard a cane. I heard a white cane kind of tapping as it approached the desk, as the person approached the desk to check in. And so I struck up a conversation, and I knew who this was. I had talked to her before. As a young mother, kind of new to the area. She'd been coming to the gym for several weeks, and just kind of talking to her about, hey, how's your training going? And she had kind of this dour mood at that moment. She sounded kind of down, and just, what's going on? And she said, well, I've been training regularly, and at first it was great. I was coming in 3 times a week. I'm walking on the treadmill and I'm losing weight. It feels really good. But it's kind of stalled out now, and I don't really know what to do. I said, well, do you do any other exercising? Do you use the machines? Do you take any classes? No, I don't really know how to use any of that. I said, well, I'm a personal trainer here, and I'm happy to walk you through some of that. We can set up some fitness routines for you. We talk about your nutrition. So let me talk to you about doing some personal training here. I wasn't allowed to train anybody outside of a contract at the gym. My rates were set by the gym. I could get fired for training somebody outside that. So, I talking to her about the rates, and unfortunately she couldn't afford it. Which happened. It happened a lot. But the problem was that all the other people that said, you know what, I can't really afford these services. I'll have to try it on my own. I knew at least they could go up into the gym. They could look around. They could see what everybody else was doing. They could sit down on the machine and look at the picture. They could pull up some YouTube videos, jump into a class, and not have those restrictions. And this young lady, she didn't have that option. And I thought, this is really not cool. It's not right that she can't have access to something that's so important. And so it kind of birthed this idea of, like, I really need to step in and do something about this. And so for a good long time, I had these ideas tumbling around in my head of, well, how would I structure it? What would I make it look like? How could I get this into the hands of people who are visually impaired, who could really use this? And so lots of time spent writing notes and figuring things out, and eventually coming to the ReVision Fitness program that's available today.
Just before we carry on with that, I want to do a little bit of a railroad switchback. I will come back to ReVision Fitness, but you were saying you were a personal trainer at the gym, presumably with a whole range of clients. How did your sighted clients perceive you when they realized you were visually impaired and you were going to be training them?
It was always interesting. I would say that just the absolute majority of the time, 99% of the time, not even a single issue, right? Like, so in life in general, right? As a person who's visually impaired, and you guys could probably all kind of speak to this, like, your visual impairment isn't who you are. It's part of who you are, right? But it doesn't define you. And so as a personal trainer, that's kind of where I set it. My stance was always, give me 30 seconds. And if you don't think I know what I'm talking about in the first 30 seconds, even though you see I'm holding a white cane, then you can go ahead and walk away. But I never had an issue with it. Pretty confident in my knowledge of personal training. Like I said, I went to college for it. I gained a lot of experience with it as an athlete, worked with a lot of people. So yeah, I project myself as a pretty confident person. I am confident, and it never ended up being an issue with my clients. Got a lot of questions of, like, well, how do you do that? How do you actually function? And really, it's just a combination of a good demonstration, and a little bit more physical contact. As I'm teaching somebody how to do a proper squat, for example, one hand on the knee, one hand on their lower back, tells me a lot about how their body's moving, right? And it's easy to adapt. somebody's body position as they go through it. And a lot of my clients really appreciated that, so instead of me just kind of talking to them, I'm actually positioning them and showing them what they need to do. And it really was an effective way to train.
Are they okay with that? Because as a woman, I'm not sure I would be, for example.
Yeah, and I worried about that too. That's a really good question, Fee. And I kind of thought about that as I got into training. So one of the things I always did was I always asked permission first, right? Established a relationship with a person and said, for me doing training, is it okay if I, touch your shoulder or whatever to know that you're in the right position? Never once had an issue with it. Worked with hundreds of people, and I think a lot of it's your demeanor. We're always in public settings. We're all, I'm extremely professional with the way that I make, the way that I work with my clients. So never had an issue with it. But yeah, it was something I kind of thought about, and maybe there would be concern, but never really came up.
Thanks for answering that, because I was just trying to work out, how you would.
Yeah, you would like, I totally agree with you, right? And like, I think it can depend. Like, trainers are like mechanics. There's a lot of really good ones out there. There's a lot of really bad ones out there, right? So I think if you had a trainer who was very handsy but in a creepy way, then yeah, that wouldn't be any good at all.
So the young mothers come down the gym where you're a personal trainer. You've realised you can't go and use the machines, or at least can't go and watch everyone else use them. The idea for ReVision Fitness was born. What happens now?
Really, what happens at that point is, I'm talking with my wife about this idea, and of course, she's totally supportive of it, and I'm starting to write down ideas about what this could look like, and I'm starting to get a scope of what kind of energy and time it will take to build something like this. And so it progresses forward with that kind of thing. You know, even just some of the basic things, coming up with a name and and a logo and figuring out the paperwork for creating an LLC to house these projects, and even to the point where eventually I actually stepped away from my career as a personal trainer working at the fitness center to do this more fully, right? So now I wear a few different hats. I'm a motivational speaker as well. And so, I do a few different things, but really the majority of my time is devoted to ReVision Training LLC, my business. And then, the primary function of that being ReVision Fitness, the audio fitness app. So just hours and hours and hours and hours spent writing out plans and scripts and making recordings and learning programs and finding music and developing timers and tracks and piecing all of this together little by little over the span of a little over 3 years. Actually took me to get to this point.
Hi, Tyler, Warren here. And you know what they say, behind a good man is a good woman, right? So kudos to that lady
Amen.
that pushed you
Amen to
toward.
that.
And when I reached out to you and talked about it, it was as a result of what happened on our email group. Someone was having problems with it, saying that they couldn't play the audio with talk back on, and there were three of them or something like that. And of course, I am the Android evangelist, the self-dubbed Android evangelist. So I decided, hey, I'm going to check this thing out, because normally this would not be something I would be looking into. But then I decided, hey, I'm going to find out what's going on. And that's how I got about ReVision. And then I contacted you. I looked into the app, and of course it was playing. So I reached out to you. Now, the ReVision name, because this, like I said, is capital R, then E, then capital VISION. Does that have anything to do with vision? What's that? Then vision.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's a little bit of the play on words, right? So it's this idea, kind of the tagline of my company is let's change the way we look at it. And it's the idea of just changing your viewpoint, ReVision, changing the way that you're viewing yourself, fitness in general. So again, my company, ReVision Training LLC, is kind of a conglomerate of this fitness program and my motivational speaking and workshops that I do and things like that. But it's the idea of changing your viewpoint and recognizing that, again, your vision loss is part of who you are, but it's not who you are. And so this program, my hope is that it gives people a sense of empowerment and an opportunity to seek the best version of themselves.
Another thing that I'm really interested, or rather I'm happy with, is the fact that you yourself are blind, and I'm sitting here, all awed by what you're doing. And I think it's an encouragement to all of us that we could be in every field that we possibly could be allowed to get into. And so I am so proud to hear that we have a blind person who knows how to do all these trainings and things like that. And therefore, that's a good representation for us there in that field. And thank you so much, Tyler. I appreciate that.
Oh, I appreciate the words. That's really kind of you. And it's, I don't want to come off as anything less than just a guy who selfishly loved doing fitness stuff. And so I got into that field knowing that I just really enjoyed it. And but it is really cool that I had the opportunity to help so many people with fitness, and now I'm taking that experience and kind of blending it with my experience as a blind person and kind of melding the two together, because I think there really is a need, right? I think there really is a gap. If you've ever tried to do a search for any app or YouTube channel or anything that's related to fitness, you'll find accessibility is not typically very high in any of those areas. So it's been a gap for a really long time, and I'm just glad I'm able to maybe put a bridge over it.
And what's the charge for the app?
That's a good question. I get that question a bit. So the price is not secret or anything like that. If you look on the App Store, it's in the app description, and there's a subscription button in the more section of the app which talks about the subscription level. But yeah, you sign up, totally free to download, totally free to sign up. It's a 2-week free trial. And during that free trial, you have full access to everything in the app. You can check it out for that 2 weeks. After that, if you're like, hey, I like this, I want to continue my training, you have options. You have 2 different options. You have a monthly auto renew subscription and an annual auto renew subscription. So it depending on the region, Apple and Google, they kind of charge different prices sometimes depending on what region you're in. But generally speaking, it's going to be $5.99 USD monthly, or $59.99 USD annually for pretty much any user.
And how much content is in the app, would you say, if you can estimate that?
Yeah, so the initial launch of this program, so the program has actually been a website for a little over a year now, as kind of a basic beta test version until we could get the actual apps launched and the website updated a little bit. So the updates have been out, the apps have been out for about 3 weeks now. And the content that we launched with, there is over 100 lessons in the classroom section. And the classroom section is kind of where we get down to all the details. It's not really an exercise area. It's more of a, hey, do you want to, if you need to know how to do a push-up or a squat or a sit-up or very, very basic foundational movements. How do you stand up straight? What's good posture? What does extension and flexion in the elbow look like? Why is that important? There's over 100 lessons in there teaching different exercises and postures. The fitness studio itself, where all the audio workouts are housed, there are a little over 30 workouts in there total. So each workout kind of has a beginner and an advanced level that you can select. So beginner level typically is a shorter, kind of lower impact, a little more standard exercises. Advanced kind of turns it up a little bit. So there's about 30 workouts. And then in the fitness plan section, there are 3 basic fitness plans just to kind of get people started. There's a lose weight fitness plan, a tone up fitness plan, and then just a foundational movements fitness plan. And all of that, again, just kind of at the launch. There's tons and tons of more content that is in the works right now to continuously be released in the program over the next several months and even years.
While I was reviewing the app, of course, this is our app of the week, as you guys will be seeing it later on in this episode. Absolutely, it's well written and there's so much in there. You guys have done a lot of work in there. I can tell because, my gosh, it's just absolutely beautiful. And pay attention to that demo, guys, if you want to really get a feel of the app and be able to go try that. Take advantage of that 14-day trial. $6 a month, that's not bad at all. Or, $60 a year is absolutely wonderful when you look at how much it costs at the gym and all of that. So I truly encourage people to take advantage of it. It's something you do within the comfort of your home.
Yeah, and the subscription really, it's the way that I am planning on continuing the project, right? So in order to add more content, so as an example, some of the things that are in the works that are being built in, I'm putting together some yoga content. There's going to be resistance band training coming up. It's going to grow into there's just huge list of stuff, more functions and features that I want to add in, some journaling within the app, heart rate monitor capabilities and connections, Apple Watch support, things like that. And it just takes resources, right? So the subscription is the way that I'm trying to, compensate myself for the many hours that go into this, but also to be able to put content and features back into the app itself. So it's really an important thing. If you have the opportunity to support the program, I think that there's just a huge need out there, and there's just nobody in the space who's really trying to do this same thing, and it's such a big need.
If you're like me and you like phones and gadgets and so on, if I subscribe on Android and then I want to use this on my iPhone as well, do I have to pay twice?
No, definitely not. So one account will give you access to all 3 platforms, Android, iOS, and the web. So you could sign on any of those 3 platforms with a single account.
I reckon Alexa might be another one you could maybe do, like a skill for Alexa.
Yeah.
Because if it's designed for people in their home,
Yep.
And they're quite cheap, some people can't afford a phone. It might be just something for the future to look into, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's on. I have the list of things that I'm looking into for more content and features and access is staggering, and that's on there. So very good call. But yeah, a lot of this this app was built around the idea of convenience of access. As a personal trainer for so long, I know people. I know people pretty well, and you put up too many barriers, and it just your chances of getting people to do what they need to do to take care of themselves and be fit drop off like crazy, And so I tried to make the app as simple as I could while still giving it plenty of information. I broke it up into the different sections, the classroom and the fitness studio and the fitness plans, to create a more solid workflow, so that somebody who is a little bit more experienced with fitness, they could jump onto the app, they could go straight to the fitness studio, they could punch up a workout and start it just like that. But if you have somebody who's, not experienced with fitness, they've not ever done any type of exercising, they really need to start at the beginning, they can go to the classroom section, they can learn, they can, kind of gain some experience. So it gives an easy workflow for everybody to be able to use the app.
It's really interesting that you talked about, for example, yoga, and I'm sure there's lots of other sections that you've either done already or you're going to do, because there's so many fitness classes and things that I wouldn't go to either in person or online, because I would just think, what's the point? They're just going to go, you do it like this, and then demonstrate it. So it's
Yes.
fantastic that you've gone, okay, that's not very good if you're blind, so, or you're partially sighted and you can't see enough. So,
Yep.
okay, I'll do this. Oh, what a fantastic project.
That's exactly it. Fee, you got it right. I mean, that's the ultimate thing. And there's even a degree of, if somebody was prescribed to the program for a while, or subscribed to the program for a while, and they went through a lot of these exercises. Let's take yoga, for example, right? There's not much of that content on the app yet. It's all forthcoming, but let's say they went through and there's 12 different yoga positions that they went through in the classroom section. They learned them, they know them, familiar with the names. Well, now knowledge is power, right? So theoretically, that person could go to their local fitness center or pick up a yoga class and be a lot more comfortable with, the instructor saying, okay, let's all slide down into lizard pose. Well, oh, I know what lizard pose is because I learned that in the app. Now I know exactly what to do. So it's about empowerment. And like I've said a few times now, it's been far too long where I see it all the time. Does anybody know of a good accessible fitness program or YouTube channel, anything? I want to get fit, but there's just doesn't seem to be anything out there. I'm trying to make something that's out there.
It's so interesting you mentioned that lizard pose. And all I can think of is a droopy-eyed lizard somewhere on a hot rock in Arizona,
Exactly. It's like, who knows, right? Who knows what that is? And when I'm explaining this project to people who are sighted, even, because here's the thing is this program is universally designed, right? So if you're sighted, you can use it just fine. I have it designed first and foremost with people who are blind in mind. But the way I explain it to somebody who's sighted, I said, I'm gonna stand in front of you right now, and I'm gonna say, I want you to do a 360 zombie squat. Go ahead, and all I'm gonna say is do it like this. You have no idea. You have no idea what that is, right? And so, in the classroom section, I go through, okay, here is the name of this exercise. Here's the purpose of the exercise. Here's how you get into the starting position. Here's how you actually do the exercise. Here's where you should feel it. Here's how you make it harder and easier. Here's some common mistakes. It is just a plethora of detail to try to make sure that you have the knowledge you need to do these things right. And just again, to give people, like you said, Fee, give them the confidence that they need to do these sorts of things.
But it's also it's a real gift to be good at describing things. And so it's wonderful that you've done that, because there are a lot of people who would say, and I might be one of them in terms of exercise, well, I know what I do, but can I explain it to you? Oh, I'm not sure. So
Yeah.
so it's fantastic that you've done all these years of personal training and sport yourself, but as well as that, you're good at teaching it. Well, I guess you have to be if you're going to be a good personal trainer. But some people just really aren't. If they can't, especially, and I find blind and visually impaired people, we have to be better at describing stuff, though, generally, than sighted people, because they can just say to each other, do it like this, and they'll just do it, like I said before,
Yeah.
So I think it's great that you've got that ability and you're using it like that. Sounds like it's really a really worthwhile app, and fantastic that you give us a trial, because it always puts me off apps when they charge so much a month or whatever and they won't give you a trial first. I think that's a bit stingy. So
No,
I think
I
that's really good.
fully agree with you. And that was even when, so as this project got started, I talked to kind of a handful of people who kind of gave input and thoughts on this stuff. And I remember having a conversation with somebody once, and I want to offer a 2-week free trial, and they're like, 2 weeks? That just seems like a long time. Don't like this? Your time is valuable. Don't you think you should be charging people for this? And I told $6 a month. They're like, this is worth way more than that. You're putting in so much time and your expertise into this. And my answer is, look, yes, I do want to get paid for my time. I do think my time is worth it. I absolutely do. But the point of this is to give people opportunities. And I think 2 weeks is, bare minimum to try a few workouts on the app, to work your way through some of the classrooms. And there's a lot of information in there to really see if it's something that will work for you. And the price point itself, I mean, one of the other, well, I won't mention the name, but there's another app out there that a lot of blind people will kind of say like, this app is kind of works. They kind of have good descriptions and stuff. It works fairly well. But it's 3 times the price, and it's like I'm not interested in picking people's pockets. I want people to be able to have access to this stuff. Now they may choose not to, and that's totally fine. Like, but I don't want anybody anymore to have the excuse of there's just nothing out there for me because I'm blind. No, there's options, right? And it's so important to me that they have that 2 weeks, like you said, that free time, and not a big barrier financially to getting this information.
No, Tyler, thank you so much. Though we've taken a lot of your time here, and I'm glad that you are here with us here today. And how do people contact you? We know how people could contact you right from within the app there, and we'll also be putting some of that information in our show notes. But is there a quick way for people to contact you? Like, what's the web address? If you have one, of course you do have one, and things like that. And of course, we'll have those in our show notes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, the apps can be found on the App Store or Google Play if you just search ReVision Fitness. The website for the platform is revisionfitnessapp.com. And anytime you have any questions or you want to contact me, my email address, Tyler Merren, TylerMerren, Tyler Merren at revisionfitnessapp.com is the place you can send me an email. I also have a Facebook group called ReVision Training with Tyler Merren Fitness VIPs is the name of the Facebook group. And there's a little over 2,000 people in that group. It's not strictly devoted to the app, but I put a lot of updates in there. I ask questions, get a lot of feedback from people. So as I was building this app idea, I was asking a lot of questions like, what do you guys think of structuring it this way or doing it like this? And so, but it's also a community where we share a lot of fitness tips, accessible technology with fitness, things like that. So you can also join there to get more information.
Thank you so much, Tyler. And, should you implement more stuff into it, would you be willing to come back and chat with us again down the line, given the fact that you're going to be doing more stuff, adding more things to this app?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to join you guys again. This was a lot of fun. And, this is an app for the blind by the blind, right? So it's a community thing. Yeah, I'm the front point on this. I'm doing a lot of the labor with it, but I'm very interested in sharing updates and getting feedback on how things are functioning and what direction it can go, so that what my goal with this app, with this platform, is that this will be the Amazon of fitness for the blind, right? Like, this is the place that you go to get information, anything and everything fitness related. That'll take some time, and it'll take community. So I'd be happy to join you guys again and kind of share some updates as it comes.
Thank you so much. And say hello to that young lady of yours. She's a good woman.
She is a good woman, and I
Yeah.
will definitely do that. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Thank you.